Seniors, let's talk. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think we'd be here this year. Last year I shot a 6-part series called 2020 What You Missed. And the idea was to give the seniors some sort of, closure, feeling of positivity about the things they had done. At that time I was actually asked the question, are you gonna do another series next year? And I said, of course not. We're gonna be in school. I was wrong. So here we are over a year later, and I'm adding an additional episode. 2020 What You Missed, the 2021 edition. The reason is pretty clear here. A lot of the things I talked about in 2020 What You Missed, they're still relevant. Prom, graduation as traditionally as it is held.
Bathroom.
Rad night as it is traditionally held. The whole theme of senioritis.
2-hour naps every day.
A lot of the senior performance action. Beach day. All of those things still apply to you guys for the most part. And so, if you want to go ahead and check those out, they're as relevant to you as they were to 2020. So you can go back and watch those 6 episodes. However, there are things particularly to the class of 2021. Now, a year has passed. I redid my garage. I'm a year older, and I'm about 15 pounds heavier thanks to quarantine. But I owe it to you to give you an episode. So, here we go. 2021, what'd you miss? Well, there were some things that you missed that were not missed by the class of 2020. After all, 2020 actually had a relatively normal year until March, when we left school and we never really came back. So 2020 got the action of, for instance, first day back at school as a senior, which can be a pretty epic situation. There was homecoming, homecoming court, homecoming dance. That's great. Then there's just the socialization that you would have had with your friends in person all the way from August to May. And none of that happened. This is not to mention all sorts of other activities we typically do in person during the winter time and in the spring. So missing your senior homecoming skit, I just feel like we need to do something about that. So I've taken it upon myself to do the homecoming skit for you. This is your homecoming skit senior year in a relatively abbreviated version.
Hey Lynbrook, welcome to the final day of homecoming. All this week we've been celebrating the theme, cities of the world. And now for the secret senior theme, their selection, breathing. Oh no, someone captured homecoming again. We gotta rescue it. Yeah, let's tell those police officers over there.
A few minutes later.
Maybe it's the sinister other school. Are those pirates?
A few minutes later.
I think I know the secret to getting homecoming back. We have to dance with horses.
A few minutes later.
Homecoming court is also another big part where it's an opportunity to actually support the people in your class and get to choose people that you think are worthy of earning the distinction of senior royalty. Well, didn't have that this year. So once again, I've taken it upon myself to go ahead and select your royalty for you. And of course, it's all capped off with the football game. So, since we didn't actually have that football game at the time for homecoming, let's just go ahead and simulate that actual score. And here's the box score from that game.
Vikings get their revenge. It was a tough one, certainly not the offensive explosion you might have expected.
Go Vikes! One of the positive things about 2020, 2021 as a school year was in fact that people really put their best foot forward. And in fact, people really tried to solve problems with new and inventive ways that previously we probably never would have thought. That's one of the benefits, the silver linings that came with this year. And there were in fact many silver linings. For instance, your sleep to class routine, that worked out pretty well for most of you.
Jeff Bale.
Here. Well, on average, grades were actually up this year. Grade inflation. At times, grades were up because teachers modified a lot of things, went a little bit light perhaps.
Are you on your Zoom class?
Yes.
And there was also some other reasons. And being online for distance learning, that meant sometimes you could actually multitask and be very productive with all sorts of really good usage of your time. Another piece of good news was that we were actually able to salvage a lot of things this year. All things considered, we actually ended up having a pretty good year. One of the great things that happened in the late winter, early spring was that sports returned. First the outdoor sports, and then towards the end of the year we had indoor sports. Now even though these sports seasons were not their full length, it was great to see athletes back out there competing for Lynbrook High School. Now there were some challenges along the way.
Coach, we've had like 3 games this week.
You're so weak. Next week we have 12 games.
Overall, though, it was great to see our Viking athletes in action. Another silver lining this year was that we ended up having graduation. Now, graduation is quite different from previous years. Last year, we actually had a drive-through graduation, which worked out really well. And this year, we're going to have 4 separate graduations. This could be very strange when you kind of forget about this in 40 years. You look back at your graduation and say, wow, that many people didn't make it to graduation?
What?
Then, of course, you'll have to be reminded of the fact that there were 4 graduations. But hey, at least graduation's graduation.
Kelsey, Elise, frickin' awesome.
In August, we found out there was going to be no in-person for several weeks. And then it was extended to a semester. And then it was extended a little bit later. And then it was extended to spring break. And after spring break, there was the glorious return of all Lynbrook students. Except that didn't happen. You guys know that hardly any seniors came back, and so a full bustling classroom of normal looked a little bit more like something like this. Hello? Hello? Still, as we complete the year, it's great to get back to some degree of normalcy. Now, normalcy may be a word that was invented by President Harding, or maybe it wasn't. But the point is still the same. As we get back to society, like we kind of used to sort of know it, I think that we can be grateful for the things that did happen positively this year. And I think that's really what you should focus on. The class of 2021 is not about your senior year. It's about all of your years together. Whatever your path to Lynbrook was, that path becomes the experience that you add in to class of 2021. So as you close out your 2021 year, you should be thinking about not just what you missed this year, but what you experienced the rest of the years. After all, those are the events that solidified your friendships, your relationships, gave you rites of passage, and basically defined who you are today. There's going to be a lot of people who look back at the academic year of 2020, 2021, and basically say it was a lost year. I don't believe that's true, and I hope that you don't either. Because for all the challenges and hardships and all those things we experienced, there were many, many good things as well. Now, your senior year of 2021, it may be the strangest one on Lynbrook record. It may be the strangest one in the history of high school in America on record. But it is what it is. In my last episode of 2020 What You Missed Last Year, I went ahead and had a bonfire in my backyard. The reason I did this was that traditionally, the grad nights at Lynbrook High School, when they're done on campus, have a bonfire that sort of closes it out. So to give some sense of closure for this year, let's step into my backyard, have a little fire, and wish you well in your journey. Class of 2021, proud of you, good luck, may the force be with you.